Hey guys, today I'll be unboxing the Byrna SD that I recently purchased. Now I did actually purchase it with their Black Friday sale going on in November, and can't remember the price. I'll post it in a subtitle, but it was a pretty good deal, and when I saw they had released a new model, I figured I'd take the plunge. Now I do want to mention that, coincidentally, more than a year ago, I actually had about $50 in my E-Trade account, and I didn't have any idea of where to put it or withdraw it. But I had been watching some Byrna videos from a few other YouTubers, and I saw that they were publicly traded, and their shares were pretty much a penny stock. So I bought 100 shares at 4.5 cents each, I believe, and it's gone up a lot since then. And a lot of that was because after the George Floyd riots last summer, Hannity had mentioned this being a potential product for self-defense. Now, some people call this non-lethal. Sorry, I'm cutting so horribly because I have a camera in front of my face. But Byrna themselves call it less lethal, because technically, I would assume you could take a shot in the eye and could possibly kill you. Or maybe the actual chemical irritant can be strong enough to cause someone to suffer a fatal injury. Alright. So you'll typically get the Byrna HD or SD in this nylon case. It's got some zippers on it. These are additional items I got during the Black Friday sale. So these Byrnas take a proprietary 8-ounce CO2 canister. So you do have to buy these from Byrna. But what's nice is you can buy Byrna products on Amazon now, so I'll provide a link down in the description to where you can purchase those. Part of the reason I didn't buy it before is it wasn't available on Amazon. Here is a Byrna Banshee. This is a personal safety alarm. It makes a really loud noise and flashing bright light. I'll test that later. We got these kinetic rounds that are just really hard plastic. That should hurt quite a bit, or you could just practice with them. Okay guys, I wanted to cut and refilm showing the different ammunition or projectiles, because I sort of screwed it up at first. So one of the first ones that comes with the actual Byrna is the Ecokinetic Projectiles. So these are basically a inert powder on the inside. You can see they sort of have this lip to the edge around them, and these are going to be pretty much just for practice. You can see here it says eco-friendly with no active ingredients, cost-effective training, dissolves in water. This was just another tube of the projectile or kinetic rounds. So here you can see just more kinetic rounds. Now the third tube that came with mine were the pepper projectiles. So this says only used in self-defense, law enforcement, and by security professionals, contains 5% OC. These are going to be like the medium effective rounds. You know, they're going to hurt, but not compared to the next one I'm going to show you. So as you can see, they look like paintballs, and the color can help you determine which type of projectile you're using. So those first three are what came with my Byrna. These I had to buy separate. These were $35, so $35 for 5 rounds, $7 each projectile, so it's expensive. You're not going to be practicing with this. But these are going to use their strongest mix that has OC and their tear gas blend. So this is going to give a much stronger effect on people. And you can see it's got a drastically different color than the pepper balls. I'd considered trying testing these on myself, but I don't think I have the will to put up with it from the videos I've seen. So in the actual case, it's a pretty nice case. Got some nice material. There's this little medallion here, which is a little silly because they advertise that you get this medallion, but it's just stuck in there. It doesn't do anything. It just sort of looks cool, like a little icon. Up here on the top, there is a pocket for some paperwork, manuals. This was from the CO2 that I put in there. This is a manual. I would recommend going through that. Here's a little Byrna member card. You can tear this out and it will say that this is not a firearm under federal law. A couple little things included are extra bottom caps. So what these are for is in the bottom of the magazines you can see there's red, or in this one black. So the purpose of these is you would use red for any of the active ingredient projectiles like the pepper ball or the max projectile. So you can remove this base plate and replace it with say you want both of them red, or if you want, perhaps you live in a state where the pepper ball projectile or max projectiles aren't legal, you can put both of the black ones in. Either way, you know, it's not really necessary, but at the same time, if you're mixing them up, then it's nice to have some distinction. So you can see down here there are 2 CO2 canisters, and these are the 8-ounce ones, but you can notice there's horizontal slits or slots, and that is for the 12-ounce canisters for the Byrna HD XL, which has a longer barrel and supports the 12-ounce canisters. Now I'm not quite sure if the XL extension fits on this. I would assume if it doesn't, that they probably are planning that option, but based on this size alone, I think I would rather keep it as is. Some people want the XL because it provides a lot more shots, and you know, obviously there's a benefit to that, but at the same time then it's getting bigger than I want. So looking at the actual launcher itself, it's pretty big, but compared to competitors on the market, it's actually pretty small. If you look at the Mission, I can't remember off the top of my head what its name was. I think the company Mission produced it, and it was a really large pistol. And then Pepperball, the company Pepperball, I believe they're called, also has a pistol. But I'm not as big of a fan of the design on that one. There's certain reasons why people prefer those, but for me, concealment was one of the more important factors, so this compact size was definitely one of the more important factors. And in my full review, I'll talk about the benefits, the pros and cons of those other models. I chose yellow because I sort of like the idea of yellow when I've seen a lot of less lethal weapons such as tasers and some of the M4 carbine style pepper ball launchers that I've seen police use are often yellow. I just thought yellow sort of seemed like a cooler color than perhaps orange or red or tan. And a lot of people have been arguing that they would prefer it to look like a real gun to potentially scare someone into thinking, you know, you have a real gun. That's not the purpose I bought this for. So I bought this with the intention of using it only in a situation where I feel like I don't want to use lethal force, or lethal force wouldn't be justified, but it might be enough to just push someone back or thwart someone a bit. A lot of people talk crap about these and say, you know, that you would never choose this over a real gun, and, you know, I sort of agree to some extent. This isn't replacing a gun for me. I do have a Glock 19. You can see, can do a quick size comparison. The Byrna is definitely thicker. And yes, I safety checked this. You can see the length is pretty similar. The frame is pretty similar, but the Glock 19 is definitely smaller, easier to conceal. But again, this isn't replacing this for me. So will I ever use this? Maybe not. I just sort of liked the novelty of it. I liked the idea of having a less lethal option. In certain situations, I would definitely choose my pistol over this, but you know, having the option I think is nice. So loading this is pretty interesting. With the magazine, you're going to have a little Allen wrench on the end, and with that you're able to turn this cap off. Once it's far enough, you can just remove it. Now with can, you can insert that in. According to the manual, you just want it to be flush. So that's pretty close to flush right there. You don't want to over tighten it. Yeah, that looks good right there. And what's really nice about this model is while it's in there, when you first load it, it does not pierce the CO2 canister. So you can keep it loaded, ready to go. Now to load the magazine, you're going to have this little spring-loaded lip right there. And we'll put 5 kinetic rounds in. You do got to be a little careful that if you hit this, they will pop out. So when you're placing them, make sure you don't put pressure onto the little lip, because that will allow them to spring back out. So once you got 5 rounds in there, and by the way, Byrna recommends you do not try to load an extra round in. You can insert it in, and you can see right there it's on safe. If I wanted to fire, I could either pull the trigger to break the seal and break the seal before shooting, or I could flip this down to fire, and the first time I pull the trigger it's going to break the seal and shoot 1 round. I'm not going to do that right here on the table, obviously. I'll show that in a sec, but one very important safety issue to know about is when you remove your magazine, you can see here on the top, it's got a chamber indicator to show that there's actually a round in there. See if we can see it, probably not, but to remove it, you just gotta put that, push down on that, and it popped right out. So it's pretty easy. And say you want to remove your rounds, like I said, if you push this lip down, they'll all spring out. So you got to be a little careful with that. So I'm going to remove the canister. As you can see, it has not had its seal broke yet, so I can put that away. I'm going to put this back on. So some of the upgrades for this SD model, as of recording tonight, I noticed that the HD model isn't even listed on their website anymore. One of the upgrades is this honeycomb pattern on the rubber, which gives it a little bit better grip, which I do appreciate. But one of the other major upgrades is this trigger. The old one used to be much more curved, and they claim this trigger's got better action. It's still pretty springy. It's going to be something I have to get used to, I think. The safety feels really nice and smooth. It is ambidextrous, so left-handed people shouldn't have an issue with that, although the mag release is only on that side, so if you are left-handed, it might be a little bit awkward. So now I'm gonna try test firing it for the first time. As I said before, to pierce the CO2, you're going to, while it's on safety, pull the trigger once, then you can put it on fire, and we'll take a couple shots with a couple magazines. So I moved it because it was hitting those rocks after it fell down. I didn't want ricochets. So I'll try to finish this off. And that's it. So I want to show how it penetrated. I did fill this box up. You can see all of the entry points. Obviously I had no problem going through that. Inside I just had a lot of paper. So these apparently are reusable as long as they show no damage. So if it doesn't hit anything hard, they should be okay. Okay guys, so after shooting a couple magazines, I did enjoy that. You can see here, this is the one with a pierced canister. When I removed it, there was still quite a bit of gas in there. So I plan on doing a full review. I'm going to test using as many as I can, see how many decent shots I can get with this. As I said earlier, I bought a chronograph, so I want to test the velocity of rounds as I shoot more and more magazines and how many rounds I really get that have adequate speed. So my in-depth review, I'll try to get it up as soon as I can. Fortunately, it is coming into winter, so that makes it a little bit harder, but I hope you guys enjoyed this first look unboxing and first impressions of the Byrna SD. If you enjoyed it, I'd appreciate if you hit like and subscribe. If you're interested in purchasing this, check down in the description for some Amazon links, and thanks for watching.